In many sports, timing of birth can give an athlete a significant advantage. In basketball, baseball, and ice hockey, players born in the first quarter of the year, the cutoff period for selecting age group teams, which typically aligns with the school year, are overrepresented in both youth and professional leagues. Similarly, in soccer, players born early in the selection year dominate major leagues in Europe and South America. This phenomenon, known as the relative age effect, affects almost every sport. While it has been observed in both men's and women's sports, the effect is generally weaker among women.
It was my birthday, and we had a party. So, usually I go home.
Before or after the game?
No, after the game.
I was like, yeah, party in the game.
Big party, so,
The relative age effect is not due to superior genes or natural talent among older athletes. Rather, it is linked to differences of biological and psychological maturity, as explained by Joe Baker, a professor at York University in Toronto. Older players are stronger, faster, and more advanced in their development, Baker said, adding that they aren't necessarily more talented, but simply more mature due to their birth date. This maturity helps them get selected for school teams, and once chosen, they gain access to more practice, coaching, and playing time, all of which give them an edge over younger players born later in the selection year. Although younger athletes might be equally talented when first considered, they often miss out on these early opportunities and fall behind. Over time, the older players' advantages compound, leaving later born players at a disadvantage. The younger a talent is identified, the more pronounced the relative age effect becomes. For example, in a 4th grade sports team made up of both 9 and 10-year-olds, the oldest child might be nearly 10% older than the youngest. Given this, one way to limit the relative age effect would be to delay athlete selection until later on, as Baker suggests. By allowing more time for players to develop, younger athletes might be given a fairer shot. Some teams have already taken steps in this direction, such as New Zealand's rugby teams, which group players by weight rather than age, and soccer clubs that use biobanding, grouping players based on height and weight instead of birth date. Additionally, trials have been organized specifically for those born late in the selection year, to avoid missing out on potential talent. In school sports, however, children born near the cutoff date, which in the US often falls around September 1st, are consistently favored, while those born later in the year are disadvantaged. Despite the bias, professional athletes like James Harden,
he can go to the free throw line anytime he wants. He's got one of the nastiest handles in the game. You can't stop him from getting to the basket. He's shooting threes. He's getting to the hole at will. He gets to the free throw line at will. He's averaging 40.
And Kobe Bryant, who were born in August, or Mike Trout and Cody Bellinger, drafted at just 17, show that younger-born athletes can still rise to the top.
The Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim select Michael Trout.
Interestingly, once these younger-born athletes make it to the professional level, they often outperform their older peers. This is known as the underdog effect, a paradox in which later-born athletes, though disadvantaged during development, tend to be overrepresented among the elite players in their sport. A study of the top players in soccer, ice hockey, baseball, and Australian rules football.
Here he comes. On 99 goals. Lance Franklin joins the 100 club. And people power has spoken. Out they come by their thousands. Just the 28th man in 150 years of AFL to reach the magical 100.
Revealed that the players born later in the selection year were disproportionately successful at the highest levels. These athletes, according to the study's authors, likely developed other advantages, such as improved skills, technique, and decision-making to overcome the challenges they faced earlier in their careers. As these athletes compete alongside older peers, their skills can improve more rapidly, potentially making them stronger players in the long run. For example, Premier League academies have found that late maturing players are often better at self-analyzing their performance and addressing weaknesses. Even if these players initially lag behind, their perseverance could lead to superior skill development. In fact, German soccer players born late in selection year may perform worse in their youth compared to peers, but in the long term, they tend to be better overall players. The story of Harry Kane illustrates the consequences of overlooking late-born talent. Released from the Arsenal Academy at age 8 due to his perceived lack of athleticism, Kane was both young for his age group and a late physical developer. He later joined Tottenham Hotspur's academy, where he went on to become one of the world's top strikers, demonstrating the importance of not overlooking late maturing players. In ice hockey, the relative age effect is similarly evident. A study found that 58% of NHL players were born in the first half of the year, with the remaining 42% born in the second half. This pattern extends to the NHL's elite, with players born late in the year tending to have longer careers and higher performance metrics. A 2011 study of Canadian NHL players revealed that those born later in the year not only lasted longer in the league, but also scored more points and earned higher salaries than their earlier born peers.
Success in hockey is based on individual merit, and both of those words are important. Players are judged on their own performance, not anyone else's, and on the basis of ability, not some other arbitrary fact. Or are they? If you were to look at the player roster of the 2007 Medicine Hat Tigers, you might see something strange about it. But even if you didn't, you shouldn't feel bad, because for many years in the hockey world, no one did. It wasn't until the mid-1980s, in fact, that a Canadian psychologist named Roger Barnsley first drew attention to the phenomenon of relative age.
So, while it's harder for late-born athletes to break into professional sports, those who do manage to reach the highest levels often surpass their peers. This paradox, the underdog effect, suggests that the relative age effect, rather than simply slowing down late-born athletes, can ultimately work to their advantage if they manage to persevere and survive in the system. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.